Hi guys, so it's like it is. I like to break down Donald Trump as the puppet of Vladimir Putin, and I would like to start off with addressing all of the BS about Trump saying that's fake news or whatever, that there is no collusion, meddling, or attempt to influence the election. The main thing to realize is that, yes, what is still being investigated is would the meddling attempts made a significant difference in the outcome of the election. That is still being investigated, but the Russians were trying to influence the election in favor of Donald Trump. It is because he owns debt to Russian oligarchs because he was not paying his debt to U.S. lenders. The collapse of some of his casinos and many other business ventures. Really, the only way that he can really make money is by licensing his name. That's really what's true behind Donald Trump's actual business acumen, is just ripping off lenders. The only bank that he can get money from is the Deutsche Bank, which has significant ties to Russia. The Deutsche Bank had ties to Russian ministers, people that work for the Deutsche Bank, and there are money laundering allegations involved with some of his loans from the Deutsche Bank. And even though politically Trump had no choice but to vote in favor of the Russian sanctions law, can really pick and choose the laws that he wants to enforce. And the Trump administration was holding off on the Russian sanctions even though it was stated law. So the executive branch just chooses not to enforce the law. And right before this meeting with Vladimir Putin, this meeting in secret held right behind closed doors, Russia is destabilizing American currency by dumping off U.S. debt. They're not holding it, providing that debt with value, the money that was printed currently in existence. It's buying hard silver metals like gold instead, strengthening its currency and trying to build up Putin's military buildup. And Trump, the only people that he can get money from is Russian oligarchs, who are the same Russian oligarchs that get power from Vladimir Putin himself to establish their monopolies. So this is why Trump is beholden to Vladimir Putin, who has given these exclusive oligarchs authority over their industries. Trump is taken from them and he's not paying them back. He is beholden to Russia. This was what was behind all of the Russian meddling in this election. Recently, 12 Russian spies were charged with trying to hack into the Democratic National Committee laptops, computers, and we've had the hacks right before the Democratic National Conventions. Russian oligarchs on the U.S. Treasury list have ties to Trump and his campaign. Right here, I'll be posting all these links right below. And here, Trump lender and other convicted banks are getting reprieves from the Fed. So in order to pay off his debts to the U.S. banks, to the Russian oligarchs, to the elites who want to start the war and help out the bankers, so Trump is paying back these guys by orchestrating it and falling into the hands of Vladimir Putin, who is sure to get the loans from those banks, and doing many favors to help destabilize the world and to weaken America. Once this loads, here Donald Trump here is costing NATO, is making it weaker by saying that NATO is costing the U.S. too much money, that we shouldn't be giving money to NATO. And we'd be weakening our nearby neighbors to Russia. Vladimir Putin himself said that it would be nice for Russia if NATO were falling apart. So his good friend is here saying that it's bad to fund the NATO. Putin said it would be nice for Russia if NATO were falling apart. And that's what can explain the recent military buildup for Vladimir Putin. And he's here playing games with ISIS. During a meeting, during that press conference, before his constant flip-flops, right after, days later, Trump refuses to denounce Putin over election meddling at the summit. And he's blaming America for claiming to spread fake news and not trusting all of our law enforcement agencies. These law enforcement agencies are really going to allow Trump to get away with it. They're going to allow Trump to get away with it like Hillary Clinton. But understand something, that it's completely naive to assume that the same thing can't happen to us like Obama did with the Israeli elections and the French elections, I think. If we're doing it to other countries around the world with our CIA, in Iran and Nicaragua and all this, and why can't other big superpower, other big countries like Russia and China do the same to us? It would be naive to assume that our elections are not capable of being compromised if we compromise elections all around the world. And Vladimir Putin's endgame is always to keep Russia alive as a leading superpower. If you're a former head of the KGB, it does not go away. Trump calls the European Union a foe ahead of the Russia climate summit. European Union a foe ahead of Russia and China, a major trading partner China is. And the European Union is a bigger problem than China, according to Donald Trump. We don't want to weaken our neighbors and to increase the likelihood of war with the amount of money that we spend already, so it is an investment of some sort. EU official urges Trump and Putin not to destroy the global order. What he's talking about is the free global trade. That, yes, the billionaires not paying their fair share. We need to reform our governments. We need campaign spending limits. We need to limit the billionaires' power over all of our people. We need progress in our society, and here he's talking about avoiding trade wars and preventing conflict and chaos, and this is what stabilizing the EU can do, is make it prone to attack from ISIS or Vladimir Putin himself. But these various organizations, yes, do need reform. There should be a certain amount spent for national defense and cutting down on some bureaucratic waste. But we have a puppet in the White House right here, Donald Trump. It is Putin's pawn that is the 45th president of the United States, who is Donald Trump. So right here, oops. Donald Trump is the 45th president. I wanted to show it to you. 45th president. Right here. 45th president. He's 45th president. Is Putin's pawn that equals 45. It's national debt that's going to go up with billionaire tax breaks and no rise in GDP now in the contracting stage of the economy. It's big business that is getting all the tax breaks and all the benefits under the Trump corporatocracy equals 45 under the 45th president. It is Trump, it is Vladimir, and it is Moscow that equal 88 in gematria. Putin's puppet could have won the 58th election in American history. It happens every 4 years. That's what the word quadrennial is. Every 4 years. The United States election of 2016 with Hillary was the 58th quadrennial election. Trump Towers has 58 stories. Mellow heading to where? I have no idea. So this was NATO. It is Vlad's puppet that is Donald Trump himself. Oh, I'm really tough on Russia, he said after the meeting. I'm tough on Russia. The Don the Con equals 44. He was the 44th person to become president because it was Grover Cleveland Alexander that served 2 terms. He's the 44th person to become president. Could be Vlad's puppet, Don the Con, and a recession to follow afterwards. The pawn of Vladimir also equals 88 in gematria. And Trump once again equals 88. Russian pawn, perhaps a Republican or a president, which is what's the case right now. This is what this narrative is. And by weakening the EU and weakening NATO, making America start trade wars and weaken its economy and make relations bad with China, Putin can then form a big alliance with China in their war against America. If this is what his true ambition lies, the KGB just never dies. Putin's war equals 141. World War III equals 141 and 69. Vladimir Putin equals 69. Trump's treason 55 could result in impeaching. So impeach equals 55. Trump's treason equals 55. We have November the 9th of 2016, the election, the whole fraud behind the election. You know, this is what meddling from outside countries does. There needs to be, we need to hold elections with a lot of scrutiny to be sure that they're not being manipulated from the outside. This is very important. November the 8th was the day of the election. That equals 55. That was really what this whole impeachment is about, is the whole influence and manipulation of the election and helping work for Russian oligarchs to having to pay some debts, having to pay some personal debts, Donald Trump, because he can't get a loan from a U.S. bank. The only place I can get loans from is from the Deutsche Bank and Russian oligarchs. The Russian oligarchs hold the keys to his empire. They keep it alive. 115 days from Donald Trump's birthday to Vladimir Putin's birthday. It is, in Gematria, President John Trump, that equals 115. Will we have Trump care under the 115th Congress right now? Equals 115. But we're still waiting on that. But there is a narrative for a possible world war to happen right afterwards. Trump would not be impeached. I think he's going to survive the impeachment. You know? So going here to the gematria calculator. I think he's going to win his impeachment proceedings. He's going to win his impeachment. That's going to be a big victory. He's going to brag about it. I think he's going to win his impeachment proceedings. Donald Trump won his impeachment proceedings, 190. We have Synagogue of Satan equaling 190 and 64. We have treasonous Trump equaling 64. Donald Trump's war equals 64. Is Donald Trump the catalyst for the global war for the bankers, the same people that Trump has loans to? This is what could be in the making. The World Cup just hosted at Russia, World War 114, Croatia, France, the matchup 114. You know, Vladimir Putin began, let's see, that wasn't World War III, but Vladimir Putin began World War III, you know, Nation of Israel, you know, central bankers out there that rule the world, Synagogue of Satan the Beast, Israel and Zion, Synagogue of Satan equals 64. You know, the deep state equals 47, it could be Republican equals 47. Destabilize the EU is what President Trump wants to do, both equals 72. And we have corporatocracy. That equals 72 as well, and what's about to come. And we've had the bombings in Syria too, keep in mind too. I mean, it's very possible that Vladimir Putin, that's what he wants to do. He was a former head of the KGB. So going to Putin here. This Wikipedia. See what the KGB agent is all about. We're really seeing what's his birthday duration from Adolf Hitler's birthday. He's going to be the Adolf Hitler figure that's going to start World War III. We can investigate this right now. April the 20th, 420, and the day of his birthday. Ironic that 420 for a certain community out there is all about peace and going green, except for Adolf Hitler, the complete opposite. Here, date duration 171 days if you include the end day from 420 to October the 7th, Adolf Hitler and Vladimir Putin's birthdays. let's see, World War III does not equal 171. I just wanted to check right there what the date duration was. Well, actually, it equals 170. 170 days between Adolf Hitler and Vladimir Putin's birthdays. 171 is if you include the end date. That's why I was confused. But 171 destabilize the EU. You know, that's what Putin may be wanting to do to start World War III right here. And once again, in gematria, it is World War III that equals 171. Let me have a clear and candid talk with you guys. I think that Russia has got dirt on Donald Trump, that if he talks tough on Russia, suddenly that there may be attempts to put a bullet on his head. You know, Donald Trump said that, you know, people, I could shoot someone and someone would elect me for president. He said that at a rally that may have been at New York City. So pretty ironic that he says that anyone can vote for him. It may have happened because of Russia. It may be Russia that be getting him the bullet. But I think he's going to stay in there and lose the election in 2020 and survive the impeachment, to survive the term, and to not go down in shame. And I think Trump is going to do that. But he's going to end up losing the election, and shortly afterwards, if he tries to open his mouth about Russia, then they may be coming for his head. I think an assassination can very well happen after his term. I think they may assassinate him at Trump Tower under that scenario. I think Russia's going to assassinate him after his presidency if he opens his mouth about any deals or anything that they have. So I would really look out for Donald Trump, and we need to prevent an assassination, and we need to prevent a potential World War III, and this is what this plot is about. And I'm trying to warn people out there that we have to prevent World War III. We must prevent the worst out there and understand what all this global chaos is about here. We have a madman who's getting the spotlight here at the World Cup. This World Cup's about the false illusion that Russia's not this deep rogue state with a lot of oppression going on. So you're not going to see the real Russia when people come in from the outside. We must watch out. We must watch out because we have a real man in the White House who is beholden to Russian oligarchs who Putin grants monopolies to. And Trump holds the keys to that, to weaken America, and that's what Putin wants. So let's look up impeachment. Ted Cruz! Where's Ted Cruz when you need him? So U.S. presidents to be impeached. Let's look it up by the numbers. This is a research project here. The history of impeachment of presidents, if we can find it. It's not clicking. This link is not clicking. Okay. Now I go to impeachment of the United States. I must close out some tabs here. Let's see if this link works. I think Donald Trump may get impeached again. He's going to get impeached. I mean, I'm just thinking as far back to Andrew Jackson, whatnot, but the last one to be convicted. 1998, when Bill Clinton was president, Bill Clinton was born in the dog year. So was Donald Trump. And dog year is 46, so last president to be impeached was a dog. I'd say Andrew Jackson or I'd say Donald Trump's going to do it this year. The last one to be convicted, Andrew Johnson, he won by 1 vote, I believe it was. And Richard Nixon, 1974, that would occur 55 years later. So from 45 years later. So from 1974, that's 45 years later from the Watergate scandal. That's why Trump's going to be impeached, but I don't think he's going to go down like Richard Nixon did. I think Trump's going to survive the presidency and end up losing to Elizabeth Warren, because you remember that Vladimir in Moscow and Trump equal 88, but it is the lady, Warren, that is going to win the election. Or actually, it is Elizabeth that equals 88. But you think about, Warren, the word war and Warren, she may be the president that may preside over the start of World War III, and I think what may trigger it is the assassination of Donald Trump, and I think I've said this before in the past. I don't want to make money off of this here and have, AdSense and advertisements for these kind of videos. I mean, we want to prevent war, and we have to do whatever we can to stop, and I'm just here to warn people of what may happen here. So my warning shot has been fired.